So, hello fellow YouTubers, this is XallZall Rising, and once again I'm back. I know I've been gone for a while, but oh well. So, today's video is Space Engineers, and I did a new build. It's around 85% done, and we're sitting in a station, so to say. Well, it's not a station in that sense, but it's a station in the sense of a satellite. More accurately speaking, it's a orbital uh, satellite cannon. So this was a build heavily inspired by the movie Final Fantasy Spirits Within. So it took a lot of inspiration from that, mainly the exterior design. Of course, it's not a one-to-one copy or anything like it, but heavily inspired by it, so to say. So while I was on YouTube myself and I've been looking around for ideas, I came across the planet teasers, which I suppose everybody's familiar by now with, and I came across a couple of guys, and they were the idea came from them really. So they downloaded the planet's alpha, so from the source code, or I don't know how they exactly did that, but anyway, they got the planets and they went down there, and it seemed like a long ass distance from the orbit, so like I'm guessing 10 to 20 kilometers just to get to the planet's surface minimum. So I'll obviously just walk around in the ship while I explain as well of what's going to happen here, and obviously can then just kind of look around while I speak. So here coming into the hatch, here's an airlock. So right now I just left the doors kind of unlocked. Obviously oxygen is being leaked, but we're in creative mode right now, so no worries. Obviously you can see that it's modded, and I know it's kind of a thing where, you know, mods versus no mods. I prefer not having mods in a sense, because, you know, it just doesn't take 5 minutes to load up, and neither do you need to have a really super strong computer. But as you can see for yourself, it just looks so much better. So this is more of a I can upload this, and if you're interested in downloading it, then it's more for the heavy mod users, really. If you're not a heavy mod users, you can still kind of get the idea of how the satellite cannon works. So here we have an elevator, and currently it is functional, but it doesn't stop on the floor. So I'm not going to use it right now, and it kind of still jumps, you know, when you're going down or up. So I obviously thought of a backup plan. What happens if this satellite gets hit or something like that? Then we still have the stairs. So that's where we're going now. And as you can see, there's written here 12, so we're on the 12th floor. And it's pretty a long ass walk down, but we'll go from compartment to compartment. So anyways, these guys on YouTube, they were where I got the idea from. They were trying to hit a target on the planet's surface with a small orbital cannon themselves. And you know, it was 10 to 20 kilometers shot, and they were manually aiming the cannon really. So they would just sit in a chair, look down the barrel of the cannon that they had, and then they would manually adjust it and then fire away. And for the distance, they weren't doing too bad. They had results like 200 to 500 meters that were off the target, and they were kind of trying to come up with ideas of how are they going to hit the target more accurately. By the way, this is the engine room where you can then fuel, throw it in here, the fuel, and then it goes to these conveyors, and these would go then to the external reactors, which are on the exterior of the ship. Up there, obviously, you saw it was the crinopod. So yeah, the idea came from them, and then the design for the satellite cannon came from the movie Final Fantasy Spirits Within. So here we have then a mess hall. So a little place here. It's kind of, I had a lot of debate whether I should color the ship. Obviously, as you can see, I went for a dark bluish kind of look for it. But the interior is still kind of uncolored, so as you can see, the mods make it much more, give you a homely feeling. Surprisingly, for the ship size itself, I'm not really experiencing lags, and this is probably the biggest ship I built so far. I had other ship designs which are bigger than this, one being the Nostromo, inspired by the movie Alien, but I stopped the project because it just got way too laggy. It was also using mods. But I don't think it was the mods itself. Well, probably, because the mods are sometimes very detailed. So obviously here we're in the medical bay. Anything happens, here as you want to go. Level 8 currently. So as you can see, there's plenty of levels. Each accessible with the elevator. And some of the places are exclusively accessible by the stairs or the elevator. For instance, the reactor room is only accessible by the stairs, and certain components, compartments, we will only be able to access with the elevator, which we'll see. So here we go into accommodation. Here we have our showers. This one's colored black or bluish. I didn't see that yet. So we have our toilet here. For a ship of this size, it currently has one toilet, so I'm thinking of making more later on. Here we have the beds. You can have a rest here. It's rather dark though, I noticed. Even though, as you can see, there's quite a few lights around, it's still dark, so I have to use my light. I don't really know why that is. So, moving on. You have these small portholes. They look really nice. I love that. So we're coming obviously to the bridge, so where I started off from. There's an emergency hatch which I kind of left open. Here you can see the exit sign, again reachable with the elevator. Small little emergency medical kit, or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, this is the bridge. This is where all the fun happens, where we'll be firing at a target soon. So after I just walk around here, a nice little place to look down, so you can obviously see what you want to fire at. So currently this is obviously not a real planet, it's a skybox, it's a mod which you can once again download. But you know, you kind of get the idea of how it would look from here, how aiming down to the planet's surface. So whenever that planet update that we're all looking forward to comes, then this will be put to the test. So going down here, let's see which room we come to next. Forklift. This is the how would you say it, factory compartment of the ship, really. So outside there is the external storage cargo containers or whatnot, and then it will be brought in here to the refinery, and then from the refinery it can go directly to the furnace or the assembler, and then it can then directly go to the welders, which will use the resources for creating the ammunition and whatnot that it will be firing. Currently I have only one solid type of ammo that the satellite cannon will shoot, and it's you'll see it as well. So moving further down, it's also using the energy shield mod. So these shields are so freaking strong that at one point, as I was constructing this, the ship wouldn't fire anymore. I was like, what the hell's going on? It's the grinder couldn't cut off the ammo that was created by the projector, because the shield was so strong that the grinder just wouldn't do any damage whatsoever. So the ship just wouldn't fire, and the bullet got stuck in the barrel of the satellite cannon, if you will. And it took me a while to figure out what was causing it. So now whenever it's firing, the shield itself turns off. So it's kind of like in Star Trek, yeah, or other sci-fis where you have to kind of disable the shields in order to fire. So going down here we have the hangar. It's a small hangar, mainly for the probes, which is a very important element of this game, or sorry, of this ship. So currently I have two drone types, but drone B is just an upgraded version of the first one. And here we can see how one of the drones look. So these drones are absolutely essential to this cannon, this satellite cannon. Their purpose is to go down to the planet's surface or anywhere. And wherever they are, basically you want to get the GPS coordinates. So this little fella will do the job. He'll go down to the planet's surface, fly above the target that you want to, create your GPS marker, and then get the hell out of there. So he's the one that will be doing that. Let's just put him in the hangar. And as you can see, it's relatively small in size, so you can have a good view of these. They have a piston, or sorry, landing gear down here, so you can kind of lock them onto the ground as well. So I thought about that too. And while you're in here, there's a button panel up here, so that before entering the hangar, obviously you can close these doors. And there's cameras here as well to make sure that before you enter this room, that the hangar doors are indeed closed. And the elevator door too. So moving down. Oh yeah, there's also escape pods that are currently under construction. They're pretty much done, but I don't know if I want to take them yet. They're relatively big, but they will be also be a part of the this orbital cannon. So we reached the lowest we can go with the stairs, which is level 2. There's level 1 and level 0 as well. I don't know if it should have been level 0, but oh well. So going down here, we have here the oxygen generators, obviously very vital to the ship, and no oxygen, and pretty much limited time of survival. And you can then just walk up here and you can kind of inspect it. Any damage that happens then it can be obviously welded, so making sure that those places are accessible. So from here on we have to we can either use the emergency hatch in case, like I said before, in case the elevator does have some kind of damage. So we'll actually just take the emergency routes. So let's say the elevator's got taken out, then we can just open up these hatches and then go down here. So down here are all the gyroscopes pretty much. They were all around, but then I made space for the elevator, so some of them are cut out. And obviously the logic for the cannon itself are within these timer blocks. So these timer blocks are very essential to operating the satellite cannon itself in order to fire, so that it does the sequences correctly. Then moving on down here, I don't know what to make of this room just yet. There's these big hangar doors which leads down to the actual barrel thing, which can be obviously closed, and when they're closed you can then go down through this path here where not so much oxygen would be leaked, so that's why you have these two places here itself. Obviously some suit changing place, so when I'm assuming this here would be closed and then this here would be closed as well, then you can just walk in from there. Yeah, I'll open that up because it's causing darkness here. So, and then obviously down here is where the actual ammo is created. Pistons come out, welders start activating and retract and then create the actual projectile. The projectile then gets separated from this welder or grinder, and then obviously as we go down, once the grinders chop off the ammo, these gravity generators start kicking in, and then with the artificial mass attached to it, to the ballistic itself, it will then fire. So this will move out of the way, no worries about that, it's all fully automated. And now we will actually show where our target is. So now turning the HUD back on, we can see, well, obviously the drone's up there, the antenna's here, and our target is down there. It's currently, well, almost 30 kilometers away. So let's go into the orbital cannon, and I'll show you how to operate this thing. So, being obviously lazy right now and leaving the hatch open here, obviously wouldn't be doing that. Here, by the way, just a quick view as well before I go in. These are the actual pistons and welders, which will be then... actually, I created a kind of a leak there. That will have to be fixed later on. So good that I see that now. Here, I have removed them currently, but what normally would be here on this ring, I had to readjust that because one of the thrusters kept on burning it off. So just a moment until all these stuff opens up. Conveyor, where is it? So no, before that, what I had is essentially these on. Just twist the right way. So one was here like this, and then one was at the bottom, and so you can kind of imagine that. But those Titan thrusters, they have quite the distance, and they just kept on burning it off. So, and then these would be then obviously attached to the pistons and welders, and they would then use the resources to create the missile or ballistic that you're planning to shoot down. So let's move inside. And let's look at what we're aiming at. So right now I'm just going to sit into the cockpit, but I'm going to go over to the camera that I'm controlling myself right now by clicking F8, so spectator mode. And this is our target. So essentially it's a drone at an asteroid, and like I said, it's 30 kilometers away. So if we zoom in really fast now, we can get there really fast with just using the mouse wheel to scroll the speed, and we'll see that it takes quite a time. So I go back into the cockpit, and what I do now is so here the cockpit itself is not very organized currently, so the menus, but essentially I'm using now the telescope, a mod, and assuming that we would be having to find our target first, so kind of, you know, purposely taking the ship out of the direction. So what we want to obviously do is kind of find our target and kind of adjust it to the center. It can kind of zoom on. We can zoom with the mouse wheel, and we kind of want to put this to the center. So we can then zoom again and then center it. And here it gets, when we zoom very much in, it starts kind of shaking, but you get the gist of it. You just want to kind of center the target as much as possible. So I'm zooming it out a little, and it looks pretty okay. So clicking 8 on here is where it turns the thrusters on and off. So this is essentially kind of a precision mod. So if I zoom out here, you can see there's the top thrusters. They're all active currently. So I click 8 to only allow 2 of them being activated. This is so that the ship doesn't thrust itself too fast, and you'll see that why. Because now what we would essentially do, so the drone is down there, you click get the GPS location, and then you click K on your menu here, and then you go to your, obviously, your remote controls. So currently there's 2, I'll remove the other one eventually. And then you obviously get the GPS location and you name it whatever you want to. Obviously here it's called target. You add it by clicking the add button, and there you go. And you can either do it in that menu, or like I have set it here, clicking the 7 button will turn on the autopilot itself. So I'm turning it on now, and you can see it's kind of moving. So I turn it off again, 7, and so I'm paying attention right now to the bottom right of my screen and watching the speed. So I tap it on a little, and then it's basically the ship it's adjusting with the autopilot onto the target itself. So if I zoom on again, it's moving towards that target. So it's trying to move the ship exactly centered. And I put the remote control block exactly to the center of the ship, so it's aligned with the ballistic that will be fired out, and the camera as well. So obviously the object in the way was this telescope that we're looking from. So we're just gonna keep on doing tapping on 7 on and off for a while. The more we do it, the more accurate the shot will be. So obviously we are moving a little bit closer to the target, but you can always just fly upwards if you feel like to. So I won't do that right now. We're pretty close to 30 kilometers. So I'm starting to feel like we're getting close as possible. It looks very dead centered to me, but like I said, the longer you fly, you let the autopilot fly towards the target, the more accurate it will be. So this is obviously a very small target that we're hitting. You saw how small the drone was in the hangar. Okay, now I feel like it's close enough. So I'm just gonna exit here, and I'm gonna click number 3 here, which is basically what you want to look for is timer block 1. And timer block 1 does the whole stuff really. So the warning goes on, really, the light goes on, we get this kind of error, or what am I saying? Error. We get a standby kind of LCD icon turned on, and I'm just kind of looking down. Now it takes a little time because I'll fire a second shot as well, and then I'll show you what's going on, what's happening currently. But right now we just kind of want to see how it would look from the cockpit, really. Obviously I'll follow the ballistic once it's fired. And now it's still going. And when you hear this, it means it's firing. So clicking the F8 button, as you can see, the ballistic is there. It's kind of hard to see. Zooming on and following it with the thing. So here's the ballistic itself, and it will now travel all its way, hopefully hitting the target, which we can barely see from here. Actually, I can't see it, to be honest. I have no idea where the target is, but I'm confident that this will... not confident enough to say that it's gonna hit the target, but it's gonna be really damn close. And to be honest, hitting such a small target at such a range, or even just close to it, is very, very good results. It's better anyway than the 200 meters off target. Usually when I tested it here, it's either always struck the target or it was off by a few meters, up to 10 meters error radius, one could say. It's still flying. I still can't see our target. As you can see, as soon as I turn on the HUD, you can see it's definitely going towards it, but I can't see it. It's just so small. Nothing yet. Ah, I saw something blinking, or it looked like a blink. Ah, there it is. The asteroid is spawning in. Oh, gotta watch out. Can't see the actual ship yet, or the drone. And oof, again. So the drone is there, and we impacted right over here. So let's see. Drone is there. We impacted over there. This is quite a small target, and we were off by, well, I dare say a meter or two. So it's pretty damn accurate. If it would be a base, for instance, we get much better results. So going back to the cockpit.
General, the system is overheating, sir.
We're going to hit it again and again and keep on hitting it until it's dead.
But sir, we're not even sure if it's having any effect on the creature.
No effect. We've got them on the run, soldier. This is our moment of victory. I order you to fire.
The system won't allow us to fire again.
We'll see about that.
Let's try to readjust for that, if we can. So clicking this again, once the firing sequence is done, the camera puts itself back into position. So I'm just gonna let it fly a little bit closer to it. By the way, the remote control is, here we can see, is on precision mode as well. So I have obviously autopilot currently on, and then precision mode is also on, which also just slows things down. We don't want to, you know, fly too fast towards the target. We want to stay up in orbit, and it's already bad enough that we have to kind of go towards it, losing height when the planets will be there. So I'm just gonna let the autopilot again just kind of readjust itself. Hopefully it will get more accurate results this time. But the second shot I'll show you obviously what's actually going on. So this is just a button for the emergency hatch, which we've seen there, and also another feature here is the shutters. So kind of, you know, if we would be attacked or whatnot, the shutters would close, and we kind of have this armor all around the cockpit, and kind of making the command area a little bit more safer. So I'm gonna fly up again, and we'll have an external view. Oh, see, that's how fast we fly with this mouse here. Okay, and then you can see now this is how the cockpit currently looks with the shutters closed. So yeah, let's open them up again. And then from the exterior we can just kind of see how this currently looks. And there we are. Where are we? There. There's the good captain. Okay, now the next thing I'll show you obviously is the actual ballistic in action. So I'll put this camera down. So I'll just fly into the ship. And to show the actual events that take place here. Hopefully this time we'll hit the target. The ship had a little bit of time to readjust itself. So again, I'll just turn on the autopilot just in case, just a little longer. Hopefully we'll hit the target then on this time. Okay. And we have also other instruments to look at the at our drone or the target itself. Now a little tip here is that it's dish, called dish here, is that this mod, laser communications dish, is definitely advisable because it has a very long range. I think it has 50 kilometers that you can stay in connection with the drone. So obviously the current mods, which is the current game only has the laser antenna and the antenna itself, and the small ship being able to, I think, only go 10 kilometers. So no, not even. I think it's only 5 kilometers. Yeah, the laser antenna and the antenna itself. Antenna, where does I? For the small ship, it only has a radius or distance of 5 kilometers on a small ship. So if you're making small drones, that's as far as this targeting method will work. Okay, so let's fire the next shot and let's see the bullet being built while we're at it. So number 3 and then quickly number 8, and here we can see. So the projector gets turned on. That's the first step. The second step is the pistons of the welders go out, and the welders get turned obviously on, and while they're on they get retracted, building the actual ballistic. And it is then connected here to the ship by this block. Oh, it's kind of difficult to see. Then the grinder. It's very crucial now that we don't move the ship. We don't want to move the ship at all, otherwise we lose accuracy, and such ranges, even the slightest movement is just gonna put off the target by far. So the grinder does the job, grinds it off, and now it's floating here, and the gravity generators gets turned on, and obviously the camera is rotated out of the way to not hit itself, or the to prevent obviously the ballistic hitting it. And now it's flying obviously with a very high speed because I have a mod turned on, which is the 850 speed limit. So I don't exactly right now know how fast this bullet is going, but it's going definitely fast. So let's see if we can hit our target again. Now the ballistic itself has a small reactor, has obviously the artificial mass at the very tip of it. It has 2 gyroscopes and some small, really small compact thrusters on each side to kind of stabilize the shot in case it drifts off. So I don't know if it would be problematic or not having no gyro stabilization on, just having a basically just a chunk of metal being shot out. That might work too. Obviously, you can refit this ballistic with nuclear warheads inside, which would be the next step really that I would do as well. But right now I'm just using basic shots because I just wanted to see how accurate the shots are actually. That's the main concern, is the accuracy from such a distance. Like, keep in mind again, like I say, this is 30 kilometers, and to hit a target from that distance is not an easy task. And we'll hit at the same place. I fear it will. Ah! It was a slightly closer this time. As you can see, second hole was here. As you can see, this also is just a normal slight armor ballistics, and the damage that it does in the asteroid is already massive. And the asteroid is obviously made out of solid rock, so if we'd hit the planet's surface, let's say that is consistent out of sand or consisting out of just dirt, then the damage should be even greater. So here we were again off by maybe 2 or 3 meters. 2 or 3 meters definitely. So it's a pity that I didn't hit, but this is a small target, so if we'd have here, which why not? I'm just pasting one of my ships. Obviously I know the location where it will hit, but why not? Let's fire one more. Who will be the targets? I'll just put some. Yeah, I'll just put this dropship. Okay, so this is a small, large ship essentially. It's very compact, but it's a large ship nonetheless. So just showing off the what we're hitting here. So if we go in here, this one's purely vanilla made. So as you can see, for a small ship, this has really limited space. As a matter of fact, this is all the space that there is, and this was before oxygens. So obviously there would be oxygen leak here because of the blast doors. And let's fire one more time. So going back to here, clicking number 3 to activate that timer, which then follows obviously a lot of other timers, or triggers a lot of other timers. So maybe we'll look from this perspective, and maybe we'll see the ballistic coming, and then you can kind of get an idea of the speed as well. So now any other target, so anything that is static, such as structures on the planet, even large ships. Imagine there would be a large ship, you use this drone here. So let's just take this as a situation. So assuming this ship would be even bigger, your drone kind of sneaks its way here, looks at the target, hopefully not being noticed by other astronauts, and then just flying under it, essentially flying here, then quickly get the GPS coordinates, and then fly off. And then as long as essentially the target does not move, so maybe a big mothership or a large carrier or any battleship or anything really, even the cargo ships, any target that just doesn't move for long enough for the GPS to be fed into the Zeus cannon up there, then the cannon itself putting itself into position and then firing the ballistic, and then the ballistic time until it hits the target. As long as it doesn't move during that period of time, you should be able to hit targets from 30 kilometers, 30 kilometers away. So I still can't see the bullet. I think I see something there. This is a white dot. If I center my screen, yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. Just about where the crosshair is, slightly to the left of it. It's coming. Boom. Dead on, and as you can see, the damage is obviously severe for light armor block ballistic. So I'm guessing if it's the ballistic itself would be made out of heavy armor, then the damage would be even more devastating. Obviously loaded with warheads, I can see the damage even being more crazier, and there's not much left of this small little cargo ship, or whatever you want to call that, carrier ship. So yeah, the Zeus cannon there for you. Being able to engage targets at long range. As you can see, the mass is 12 million kgs. Yep, 12 million kgs. So there you go, guys. So this is XallZall Rising signing off.
I know.
Warning. System overload.
I know.
Warning. System
I know.
overload. Warning. System overload.
But it must be done.
Warning.